Hi guys, long time no see in the garden at least. I thought I'd show you what's been going on. I think it's been about a year since I did an update out here. It's been slow progress. The roots from last time were really dense, and over the last year we've cleared them out and we're starting to get some semblance of how we want it to look, but I think it's going to still take a while. Let me show you anyway. I hope you can hear me okay. It's very windy today. So this is the bottom of the driveway and we found lots of breeze blocks. So I made them into a raised bed and I've got some lavender in here. There's 6 of those. Yeah, 6 of those. I also put some tulips down into some of the edges of the blocks. They're mostly done now. A few of them came up. I haven't quite filled in all of these yet. So this lavender is actually a hybrid between English and French lavender, I believe, and it's meant to do well in humid conditions, so hopefully it will bush up here and survive the summer. The rest of the bottom of this driveway is really compacted. I don't think we're going to be able to plant into it, but I am still in the process of just weeding that there. And I'm thinking we've got this big table, we'll probably move it around to here for like a seating area and maybe build something up around the edges for like another raised bed. There's a few plants that are in here. I don't actually know the name of this one, but it opens out into pink flowers and I've seen it quite a few places around. And then there was a big patch of daisies just down here, and I took some cuttings and spread them out a bit, and they seem to have taken and they're growing through this gravel, so I thought best to put here what was already growing well. Hopefully they take, and then we'll just get a strip down here which is some daisies. Keep getting my shadow and everything. I've also planted 3 agapanthus here, and then at the back there's this creeping, there's some weeds too, but there's this creeping, I'm not sure what it is, maybe a sedum, but that's doing well too, so I would like to spread that over this area, and my thoughts generally are just work with what's already growing well here. Hopefully the agapanthus will grow up. I've seen them manage to grow out of like cliff faces, so hopefully they can survive the drive. Anyway, I did manage to get in a couple of beds last year. Let me show you. Back into the shade here, this is by the house. I've got in this one, which is an ornamental yuzu, so it should have nice flowers on it. It's only just starting to come out though. We actually brought the wrong one, and we wanted a fruiting yuzu, but bought the wrong one by mistake. And then I've got this rosemary. I've put 2 new ones in this year because these 2 plants at the back I put in last year and they were about the same size and they've just shot up. I cut them back and you can see they're really spreading out, and I would like to make a little bit of hedge in this corner and take away these bricks. I don't know if many of you were watching back when I had an allotment in the UK, but I always wanted to have a rosemary hedge. The growth on this has just amazed me. It's really like bushy, it's really filling out. I think I'm going to be able to do it here. Also in this bed I've got some parsley, which could do with a cutting actually. It did really well last year. This has come back from last year, and then one single caterpillar ate the whole of the 2 bushes. And then at the back I've got some lemon thyme and also just some regular thyme. These are both from last year too, and they really bushed out and I clipped them back quite heavily at the start of this season. And then I just recently put some basil in back there. It looks like it could do with a bit of a feed. It's looking a bit yellowy. And then also I've got some chives from last year, and then this year I also bought some mint. It was kind of sitting in water there. I need to empty that out. We've had a lot of rain recently. I put that in a pot though because I didn't want it to spread all through the garden and just try and keep it contained. This area is the bit that I actually have managed to get some stuff done in. I've got some veg in. It took ages to clear all the roots out. We've cleared the roots out of most of this part of the garden now. I've got a few things going in here, so let me show you. So this is a courgette. My courgettes, I had 2 courgettes last year and they did quite well, but they didn't actually put on any fruits until really late. They just grew really big, and it was quite late when we were eating them, well into the autumn. So I don't know if this one will do the same. I've put this like ring around it for watering to try and keep the water off the leaves, because I know mildew can be a problem. It does get very humid here. I didn't have an issue with it last year, so I'm hoping that this year will be okay. Look at this though, I put some irrigation in and it looks like something has chewed through it. That's really unexpected. I'm surprised that's happened. Yeah, I've got this irrigation going through all of the vegetables here. I haven't completely got it sorted out yet. It's not flowing very evenly, but it is getting everything wet. We've had rain recently, but I'm gonna be having a baby in the middle of summer, so I really wanted to get something set up that I could hopefully put a timer on and just have it water. I might be able to bury that drip tube. I don't know what's eating through it. That's really surprised me. So here I've got 4 strawberry plants. 3 of them I've actually bought this year, and those 2 that I've got strawberries on were bought this year. This is the one that was left from last year. I expected it to put runners everywhere and spread. I think I bought 6 last year and this was the only one that actually survived. I did have some like larvae of beetles in the ground here. I'm sure there's still lots in there, and I think they ate some, and I think also it was just so hot that the runners couldn't really take. So I'm used to being in the UK and strawberries just spreading like crazy. When I was living at the previous flat, I think I put 12 in, and I filled this really long bed with strawberries just with the runners in one season, and I expected that to happen here and it just didn't. So they're going to need a lot more TLC this year, but at least I know what I'm dealing with. It's been nice to have that year to kind of get used to the ground here, so that's good. And then we've got the potatoes in. I put those in quite early, and then later I bought some raspberries, which I would have liked to probably have run down here. So once the potatoes are done, I may move a couple of the raspberries. This is another flower that I don't know what it is, but it spreads everywhere. It grows at the side of the road. You can see I haven't quite got all of the couch grass out of this area. I really heavily pruned on this. It looked really scraggly after the summer. I haven't done anything with it, and look at the buds on it. It just looks gorgeous. So I'm going to try and just keep this back into the corner here. And I also found a hydrangea in here. I cut it back really severely. I'm not expecting that to bloom this year because it probably blooms on the 2nd year wood, but it was just so scraggly and it was really overgrown with all the couch and everything that was in here that it needed a season just to reset really, so that's what I've done with it. I've got 2 blueberries in here as well. This one has had a few flowers on it. This one I put in last year and it didn't do that well, but they do take a couple of years usually to establish itself, but I read that they do better if they can cross-pollinate. So this year I ordered another one, which is this one. It's slightly bigger and I think it's on a grafted stock as well, so hopefully the 2 together can thrive here. These are the 3 raspberries that I put in. They're very small. I'm hoping they'll take off. It's difficult to get raspberries here. And then at the back behind that is a yuzu tree. I don't know how big they get. Hopefully it's okay there. And then I've got loads of strawberries in here. I think there's 18 different varieties. Keeping these well watered is going to be the big issue, so hopefully the irrigation works for that. They've only been in for a couple of weeks and they could do with the feed. Some of them are showing a little bit of damage. Not long after I put them in, this one has got a flower on it though, like a couple of days after I put them in, we had a really big hailstorm and they just took such a battering, so I'm really pleased that they've bounced back as much as they have at the minute. I can't remember the names of all the varieties that I've got in here, but I've got 12 of the big tomatoes and then 6 of the smaller cherry tomatoes. My tomatoes did well for me last year and I wasn't expecting it because I think a lot of people here grow them in polytunnels and they just get them earlier, I think. I know that blight can be a problem because there's rainy season, so keeping the watering consistent I think is going to be the biggest issue here. As I said, my drip irrigation isn't that consistent. The ones nearer the tap are getting more, so I'm still adjusting it, but we'll see how it goes. I'm confident that I can get a decent crop of tomatoes, so that will be good. I've got an aubergine in here. These seem to grow well here and they did well for me last year as well. Yeah, we had quite a few of those that we could just pick and have for dinner. And then I've got 2 broccoli plants. This isn't one I usually in the UK would grow purple sprouting broccoli, but I've seen other people have success with it here. I've just been looking in people's gardens and see what they're growing, so it's not one I've grown before, but I thought I would give that a try. If you remember the last video I did here, I found loads of daffodil bulbs and I dug them all up. There's probably a couple of hundred, and I put them all the way along the edge here of what we'll call lawn. And I also put them down this edge of the border, which that border is actually showing some flower. It looks quite, it's getting there. Yeah, the daffodils didn't come up. I think I had about 6. I've got them all down the driveway as well, so I'm not sure if I didn't plant them deep enough or they just need to get established in this area. Just have to keep an eye on them. They're nearly ready to be cut back now. The last thing in the vegetable area is this rhubarb, which has recently lost a leaf. I'm just not sure about that. I put it in the autumn. I actually ordered it online, and I thought I had ordered a crown, 2 rhubarb crowns, but when it came it was a very small seedling, so it died back at the end of the autumn, as you would expect, and I wasn't expecting it to come back at all. And then it has put up these 2 little leaves, but there's 2 plants and each of them have recently lost a leaf. It's very close to the house, so this is the shadiest, dampest area of the garden. I'm not sure about the climate here or whether that would grow. I would really like it to take off, so try and baby that this year a little bit as well. With all the daffodil bulbs I found, I've also just put some of the daffodils in this same area as the rhubarb. Again, in the UK the rhubarb grew too big and it needed lots of space, but I don't know if it's going to here, but at the time when the rhubarb has died back, hopefully the daffodils in this area will bloom. Also in this area close to the house there's some metal framework, so you can't really dig anything in that's going to go too deep here, I don't think. I just had there's like concrete pads, and it's just not the best area for planting. I think where the rhubarb is, I've dug out enough around it so it's got room to stretch its roots out. We'll see. This area was actually full of lots of rocks and rubble, I think probably from when the house was built. So in that raised bed that I showed you at the beginning, the bottom layer of that is a lot of the rubble that we took out of the garden. And there's still a lot more to come out here. Now about the lawn, so the edge of where the daffodils are was kind of on a lawn. That has all been cleared of the couch that was in there last year and all the other root systems that were there. And then I seeded it with perennial rye, and it did well to start with, but then other weeds and things just seem to have taken over. I would like to put down, well, I was going to put down turf, but the turf that they sell in the home centres here doesn't look so good, and I found a place online that delivers turf, but they recommend that you put the sand layer and the topsoil, and I just don't think we're going to get the ground prepared this year. So my plan is to just try and keep the weeds low there. It's still a nice area for Natasha to run about in. Eventually I would really like to put a deck in too. So this area is just all a bit wild still, but I would like a deck running down here would be good, so we could have our coffee outside in the morning. This table usually goes around the side of the house, but we had a barbecue last weekend. It's got a hole in the middle of it. This comes out and you can put a barbecue into it. We had a barbecue with some friends last weekend. It was lovely to sit out here. So it's one of those spaces that you need vision for. So this is my border that's going to be more flowers, which is different for me. It's not something that I usually do. It did have daffodils along the edge, and it had tulips in it as well, which came up nicely. At the back, the pink here is a Dianthus, which there was a clump in the front garden which I've split it 3 times I think, and I've had enough to do this whole bed, which is amazing. That is growing really well and doesn't seem to need much love or care. And then I just recently put in this lobelia, which I'm hoping will spread a bit more around here. And then at the back last year I had some salvias, and most of those have come back, so that's good. And there's also some gladioli coming up there too. I think I'd like to put some more salvias in along the back, and then I would like to put some pink pentas in, but they're not in the shops yet, so we'll just wait and see on those. And then the grasses, I chopped those right back this winter as well, and they've come up beautifully. They're really growing. So there was 2 that were quite close to each other, and I moved one to the middle, which is over there, and that's doing really well. And there was one on the end. Let me show you that. So these gladioli that are coming up I actually put in last year, and I've just put some more in this year, but in this half of the bed they're going to be a bit further behind. Though it looks like there might be one coming up. Let me see it. yeah, that's one of my new bulbs coming up. And this is the other grass that was just very weedy. I hope that fills out this year because it would balance this bed a bit more. Yeah, this bed is a little bit further behind because I was later in digging it, but I'd like it to mirror the other one. So that's how the garden is currently growing. It is slow progress, but when you look back at the last video, it does seem like we've made a massive impact. It's definitely one of those things that's just little and often we don't have that much time to get out here and do gardening, it seems. But I'm really excited for what it can be, and we're also just really enjoying the space. Often me and Natasha will come out with a picnic at lunchtime, or we'll have coffee out here, and even though it's not picture perfect, it's still a really good space for doing that. Last weekend we had friends over for a barbecue. It's great. It's a really nice area. It's definitely got lots more potential. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.